Shout out to the people. Hope you all are having a good afternoon. Most of you. But hello. Y'all know how I like to warm up. And I know you all have been anticipating the song I'm going to sing to warm up. And it just popped into my head. So. And you know what's funny though? I will go back and I'll watch these town halls on YouTube. Shameless plug. And I'll be like, give it all. I would sacrifice. You can't tell me it's not worth trying for. Can't help it. There's nothing I want more. I'd unalive for you. I'd lie for you. Walk the wild for you. Yes, I'd cry for you. You know it's true. Everything I do, I do it for you. And if you can name the movie that song is from, you win. What do you win? Nothing. No, you'll win my respect. How about that? That's very important. Very important. I am someone you want respecting you. Because if you don't have my respect, you don't have nothing. Host, I can hear you tapping on the screen, and I love it because that means you are sharing this live. Is that what it means? There's no love like your love, and no other could give more love. There's nowhere unless you're there all the time, all the way, yeah. Somebody knows the movie that song is from. I love that movie, by the way. That's back when the lead actor was like the guy, like the sexiest man alive type. Everybody loved him. But if I tell you who the guy is, then you'll guess the movie. And I don't want you to do that. So I know that our honored guest is here. I know that he's here because I saw his name. Daquan. I'm going to story. If you're coming into the live, please send us your daily heart me and support our account. We would love it if you would do that. Support the account with your daily heart me, also with your likes and your shares. We got 0 likes. Oh no, this cannot be, honey. No. Let me run up these likes. There's no love like your love. Daquan, I sent you an invite to come up on the panel. You have to be on a smartphone. You can't be on a laptop, unfortunately. TikTok has not caught up with the ways we like to connect with each other. So, if you are on your laptop, run to your phone and get on your phone. You know it's true. Everything I'll do it for you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. You guys, it's baseball season, but also it is Michael Jackson movie season. It is Michael Jackson biopic season. And my FYP is occasionally showing me people recreating their favorite Michael Jackson moments. And let me tell you, people are hilarious on this app. I love to come here and laugh. I know I talk about politics a lot, but I really just like to be here to laugh. And I be getting my laugh on watching people impersonate Michael Jackson. Listen, some of you are very talented. Some of you could use, some tough love, some training, some Debbie Allen a la Fame, the movie and TV show. So, Daquan, are you there? Daquan, oh, I bet you Daquan was trying to join using his laptop. A lot of y'all candidates do that. It's because it's your first time going live on TikTok. TikTok does not. Daquan. Daquan, are you on a laptop or your, oh, you were, see? I be knowing because I be having to walk y'all through. I be having to do a tutorial, a little mini tutorial before the town halls. A lot of people are not like me. You're not on here running your mouth every single day, so you know how TikTok works. Not that I'm on here every day. Okay, we're waiting for you. We cannot do this without you, Daquan. You see, this is for you, all for you. As I try to get my hey, Miss Tasha, how you doing? As I try to get myself centered. I know I'm a little bloated. Oh. Okay, I'm going to send you another invite, Daquan. Oh, there you are! Yay! Okay, do you know how to turn your camera on?
Listen, at this point, I don't believe I know how to do anything.
What is with you people?
I
Not
don't
knowing how
know.
to work the TikToks.
I'm new to TikTok, relatively. I've only been on here for about a year
First
now.
of all, I don't believe you. I do not believe you. I've seen your videos. You are not new to this. You might be new to going live, but you're very familiar with TikTok. I've
Yeah,
seen you
yeah,
weightlifting and
yeah,
at the town halls. I've seen you. So I
yeah.
know you
I'm
know.
not new to TikTok. I am new to going live. I've only been live once.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Well, now that you've done it twice, you can do it more often. It's a great way to connect with people, especially the constituents, the
Yes.
young ones. This is
Mhm.
where all the young and hip people are. So,
Right, right.
Daquan, since you've only gone live now twice, you probably don't know how to share this with your followers, do you?
I do know how to do that. I do know how to do that.
Oh my God.
I know that
Okay.
was one of the things I remember
Yes.
knowing how to do when I got on here. So let me actually do that while it's on
Yes.
my mind.
Share it with your followers. And while you do that, I'm going to run these likes up. Just got to keep tapping the screen. And if you are in the audience with us this afternoon, please, one, send us your daily heart me. Two, share this TikTok live town hall with your followers or someone you know from the state of Ohio who would be interested in hearing from a candidate who is running for state office. And also like this. Just keep tapping on the screen. You see that heart lighten up when you tap on the screen? Just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. You don't even need
Quiet.
both hands.
Keep
All you
quiet.
need is one finger.
That might help a little bit. There we go.
So, Daquan, you know about the language that TikTok does not like to hear?
Yes, I have
Okay.
done pretty good. I like to think that I do pretty good when it comes to the language, especially for how many videos I try to do and how much talking I do in my videos. So I think
Okay,
I,
so if you see me cringe, that's because you said one of the no-no words.
yep, just call me out for it. Be like, hey, I got you.
Okay, okay. For the people in the audience, if you have a question for Daquan, you are welcome to hit the multi-guest. Where's your mom is hilarious. If
Yes.
you if you just well, I don't know. It depends on the phone that you have. Like
Hmm.
if you try to find some black spot that's on the screen and you touch it, just tap it like lightly and you see the hearts light up. Like if you see the arrow at the bottom that's going to the right,
Hmm.
just kind of a little bit above that, tap the screen. Just tap, 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 tap.
Yeah, that's how we get the shares going.
So also, what was I saying? Oh yeah, if you have a question for Daquan, hit the multi-guest, or you can leave them in the chat and I can ask them for you, or he can read them. He has eyes. He can see.
Right.
Um Also, if you're in the chat, please be kind. This is not a debate stage. We're not debating. He's presenting his platform and I'm asking him questions. So just be kind in the chat and you are welcome to gift him if you want. You can gift the host, you can gift me, but you don't have to. You don't. I'm just, a single mom trying to send a kid to college. It's okay. You
Hmm.
don't have to gift me.
Hmm.
But so tonight we are speaking with, is it tonight? No, whatever. This afternoon we are speaking with Daquan Neal, who is running for Ohio State House of Representatives out of District 39. My name is Ayana Fakir, and this is Our Vote Counts, which is a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in the upcoming elections. I am in the state of Ohio also. Hello. Our vote counts is more than a name. It's a promise, a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future one informed vote at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, Daquan Neal. And let me just say, I watched your video that we did for you, and now I'm reading your intro. They just put all your business in here. I said,
Yeah.
why y'all do that to him?
Yeah.
They put
Yeah.
all his business.
Yeah. At least it wasn't anything that I didn't initially share on my own. So, it wasn't like it was all digging in my private, it
I
was,
was like, oh, okay. Yes, yes. But
yeah.
Daquan, you are a graduate of Ohio's Central State University, our historic HBCU, the Honors College, by the way. You're a smart guy. You earned a dual degree in psychology and political science, and you worked as a legislative aide for the Ohio House of Representatives. You co-created an anti-bullying campaign and multicultural education program, and you co-authored a children's book called "Color Doesn't Matter. Be Proud of Who You Are." Daquan, what are we doing? Running for office? Why? Tell us more. Well, first of all, tell us more about yourself and why you are running for office.
Oh boy. I mean, it's so this was a kind of a long time coming for me. Like I actually got my start way, way back when I was about, I want to say like 9 or 10 years old. And I mean, I talk about this all the time. Like it's in my actual stump speech, which is like, I'm just, hey, this is how I got here. But when Barack Obama ran his campaign, like I remember the first time I heard him speak. And like the first thought for me as a kid, I remember thinking like, my mom was always big into history, so she used to educate me on like a lot of the black leaders, the Marcus Garveys, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, and Stokely Carmichael's, and just so many different important figures in the history for black and brown people. And it just, for me, I remember when I first heard him speak, one of the first things that sat with me was just like, oh, like this is history. I'm like, what an honor it is to be able to see such a historic thing happening. And he had inspired me so much that I'm like, I asked my mom right after, like, can I go do something with this guy? Can I be a part of this? And so she was like, yeah. She takes me down, volunteers after school with the Fayette County Democratic Party, and I start knocking doors in Madison County and Fayette County, and just walking up to these doors with Confederate flags on the windows, and I'm still just like, hey, can you vote for Barack Obama? So, but it's just like I just remember a lot of the feelings that I had as a kid, and just thinking like I remember feeling scared, to knock on doors like that. But I remember just feeling so empowered, and I remember feeling so hopeful, and I remember feeling so optimistic. And part of the reason why I decided I really wanted to do this because I missed that feeling. And I was just like, if I am capable, if I have the capacity to give somebody that feeling, I want to and I should. It's not just that I have the desire to, I now have an obligation to give that to somebody if I can. And so using this opportunity to bring awareness to progressive ideas, to bring
Hmm.
awareness to voter engagement, education on if you feel like I don't really do politics, well, politics do you. It
Right.
does you all day
That is
long.
correct.
And
Yes.
so I think that there's, I have a responsibility with what I've learned to pass that in some way, shape, or form. And whether that means just the passing of energy where I'm going out and I'm trying to make people feel something when I'm talking to them. So whenever I'm going out, I'm just like, I don't really care what you do with your energy after we leave this room, but I want you to do something. So no matter what room I'm talking into, I don't care if you go register to vote after this. I don't care if you go talk to somebody about how we got here, the history of voting, poll taxes, grandfather clauses, whatever you want to do, I want you to do something. And this is my something. This is my something that I feel like I have the means. I'm in a position where I now have the experience and the knowledge because of my experience to do something for my community, for
Hmm.
my neighbors, for my students, for my family. I have the means to make them feel like, even though it feels like the world is on fire, I got a bucket of water right here. And hey, it would help if you grabbed one too. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Okay. So the incumbent is term limited and he's running in the state Senate. So this is like a free seat, right? It's an
Um,
open seat.
it's open, but I wouldn't call it free.
It's
It's
not free. No, no, no,
yeah,
no. It's very expensive.
yeah, and it's not only it's a seat where it's like it's been held by a Republican for a while.
Right.
After our districts were kind of flipped around, gerrymandered up and down, left and
Hmm.
right,
Hmm.
it's kind of been ran by a Republican for a while. And they have a lot of support here, a lot of backing, and a lot of fundraising in this area. So it's one of those things that not only, as a Dem, you're going to have an uphill battle, but as a progressive Dem, you got to fight for the ages ahead of you because
I
a lot of people
listen.
they don't know, they don't understand. But I've got a job to do. I got to tell them why. And that's why I shared that one video that is actually doing really well, where I convinced a Republican voter why a progressive marginal tax rate plan is actually good for me and her. And it doesn't matter if you're a tax bracket above me. You're not the person that needs to be taxed at a fair rate. You're already being squeezed.
Right.
Most people, most voters don't fully know that. And I don't blame them. I blame the powers that be.
Well, here's the thing, and we're just going to get right into it. When you're
Mhm.
talking to voters, especially working class or lower income voters, you have to get on their level. You have to talk to them on their level. And
Mhm.
a lot of politicians, even the Democrats, talk to people way up here,
Yeah.
and people's heads spinning, eyes spinning around, and they don't know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
And they accused Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, of oh, she speaks with a word salad.
Oh my
No, she
goodness
just
gracious.
uses words that you
You're
don't
not used to
really
hearing.
you're not used to hearing,
Yeah.
right? So, but you do have to get down. I don't want to say down, but you have to talk to people on their level, a level that they understand, and you have to break it down. And a lot of what we're dealing right
Yes.
now, especially in the state of Ohio, we are in an affordability crisis.
Yes.
We are in an affordability crisis. We are in an affordability crisis. And my goodness, it is not getting better. It
Mhm.
is not getting better. And it seems like the GOP, which has been in power for a while, is not concerned with making it better. They're more concerned with making sure legislation they pass comports with certain values, certain religious values, and the incumbent has signed on to some bills that made it into the governor's hands, and he signed into law that are very unpopular with people where I live at. I'm in Northeast Ohio, and people are mad. They are mad because the will of the people, it seems, is being usurped. Like the people vote for something, that's what they want. It shouldn't be that the legislature comes in and says, well, you know what? We don't like what the people voted for. We don't like what they want. So we're going to find tricky little ways to kind of undermine what the people want.
Yes.
Daquan, I want you to tell me why you're going to be different from the dude who's currently doing the job that you want.
So this is actually so interesting because there's so many different ways that I feel this resonates with me, because I feel like for me, it's really it's really so easy for me to be able to talk to people because I am the people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I don't
Right.
need to try to figure out a way to talk, to you in a way that you understand about pick and choosing and what bills you pay. You know what I mean? Like I lived it. I'm living it. I'm going through it.
Right.
I know what it feels like to be a broke college student and be on that ramen noodle budget. Like I know what that feels like. So I think that it's not difficult to have these conversations. I think that it's difficult when you're being told it's difficult. And this is one of the things that I actually used to get in trouble for when I was a staffer with the House of Reps, is because I remember I would sit in meetings and I got in so much hot water because I told multiple representatives, and they were part of House leadership at the time. I told them, I said, our messaging is piss poor. This is in the staff meeting. They said, open it up. I was like, all right. I raised my hand and it was like, give me your thoughts. I said, our messaging is piss poor. What are we doing about it? I said, one thing is that I'm dealing with people in my family who don't know who their legislators are. I said, I understand that there's a two-sided issue to that. Sometimes people don't engage themselves as much as maybe they could. But then on top of that, you guys aren't where you should be either. Too many of you guys aren't meeting the people where they are. You're not there when you could engage with them, And so I used to get in trouble for stuff like that all the time. But for me, I never really felt connected. I don't come from no political dynasty. I'm a guy. I'm a guy from my community. I'm an educator at heart. And so who better to speak on these issues than somebody who's experiencing it right now? And to further that point, the thing that really I feel separates me from somebody like the former incumbent is that I remember I was there when I heard Speaker Huffman. We had just passed the marijuana bill. Oh, dang, can't say that. Oh, good catch. We had just passed that one bill. And what interested me the most about it is because I remember the House Speaker had said the people didn't know what they voted for. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to change this legislation to where we put restrictions and limitations, and you can actually still get in trouble. Even though this is what you guys asked for, you wanted to be able to use this freely and fairly, and you wanted it to be up to the public and up to the people. This person who is one of the highest people in our House leadership decided, he said, y'all don't know what y'all voted for. I'm about to go ahead and I'm about to change that. He talks down to the people and actively thinks that they are lesser than, and thinks that when they vote for something, that the legislature still has the right to go against it and change it. And for me, the biggest thing that I say I'm going to take into the House of Reps is the same thing that I had when I was there. I'm going in here to get in trouble, because that's what I did when I was there to begin with, because I'm not here to play around with y'all. I was never here to play around with y'all. I've been here to advocate for my neighbors and the people who I recognize are struggling with the same issues I'm dealing with. So for you guys coming in here, you guys talking down to people, or you're telling them that they don't know what they're voting for, or you believe that they're not intelligent enough to vote for the proper things and you know better than them. We're not playing these games with y'all. I'm not here to play politics. I hate politicking, and I'm nobody's yes man. So again, I'm going in there kind of with the intention of getting into good trouble to highlight a lot of the bad actors that we have in our legislature, because my policies are overwhelmingly popular. I know that. I know that most people want a livable wage. I know most people want more time off work. I know they want expanded paternity and maternity leave. I know that. I know these things are popular. So let's find out why we aren't able to pass them.
All right, thank you. So let's get into let's talk about housing, okay? Because we know Ohio is, like most Midwestern states in the middle of a housing crisis because of rising rents, property taxes going up,
Yeah.
and it's pushing families to the brink while development struggles to keep up with rising material costs, zoning barriers, and slow permitting. As state representative, you will fight for increased funding for your district through the biennial budget, prioritizing both renters and homeowners. That is your proposition. What is your plan to lower rents in the next 12 to 24 months? Not just long term, but people are looking for some short term relief, some immediate
Yeah.
relief,
Yeah.
and they don't really get, sometimes this takes time, but
Hmm.
if you can provide some relief right now for renters and homeowners, what would it look like?
So there's multiple ways. So there's actual current legislation right now. There's things like circuit breakers and homestead exemptions that they're pushing through right now.
Oh,
That
do
um, no, I'm not good. That was my phone. I would hope that we could expand those not just to homeowners, but also to renters as well. I think that
hmm
there has to be more rent protections in place. I know that we did it during the pandemic. You know what I mean? We made it to where you couldn't evict these tenants, so I know that we have the means, we have the capacity to put legislation in place to protect our renters. We're doing it with our homeowners. Let's expand those homestead exemptions, those circuit breakers to our renters while we can. And also, when it comes to property taxes, the easiest and simplest solution when it comes to our property tax issue is just change our tax system. We just did it. We just did it twice. While I was in the House of Representatives, we passed the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and we passed a bill that made them permanent. We already had it, but they made them permanent here in Ohio, and it cut taxes on the wealthiest Ohioans. And then we went and passed a flat tax rate here in
hmm
Ohio again. And it did the same thing. So we have passed multiple bills in the last 2, 3 years that have cut taxes on the richest people, on top of giving all of those unclaimed funds to the Haslam family for a Brown Stadium.
Don't get me started.
So we're at, like, this is the crazy part. Is like we have an affordability crisis, we have a property tax issue, our schools are getting underfunded because not only do we have all of those issues, but we also have a voucher program that is taking public school funding and giving it to private schools.
Okay,
There's
and
so
and
many
we're
things.
we're we're gonna we're gonna get to
Yeah.
that.
So there's so many things that it's like it's almost
Yes,
like, how do we get the short term relief? It's like we can go in and we can undo the damage that's been done because we know how we got here. You know what I mean?
right.
So if we just have enough people with enough backbone to say no, we're not doing this. Hey, let's go ahead and let's fix this. Let's restore the fair school funding formula. Like, these are ways that you can go about getting not just short term relief, but actual long term relief along with it. You can do a clean sweep. So if you're able to actually do those things, and I'm confident that if I go in there, if there's more people who are willing to go with what I believe in, with what we all want, and I think that there will be, we just have to really change the demographics of who we have in leadership. We can get those things passed. But again, we also have to recognize that we're in a Republican supermajority. So the things I'm advocating for are things that I just want people to see. I'm in here advocating and fighting for this stuff, but we are still outnumbered. I need you guys continuing to show up and get these clowns out of here. And no matter how much they try to, gerrymander these maps, we still got to keep fighting. We cannot just give up on this stuff. Like, yes, we're going through this stuff, but listen, there's solutions, there's ways out of it. We just have to have the capacity to keep fighting to make them happen.
Listen, there is a Mrs. Neal in the chat, and she has several questions for
Mm-hmm.
you. She wants to know what is a circuit breaker?
Ooh, I wish I had freaking my dude Jersey. He's so much better at talking housing than I am. But a circuit breaker is basically, it's one of the things that you go and It's like almost like an exemption. I want to
Okay.
say it without saying like homestead exemption because it's in the name of it. I hate saying like the explanation of the thing in the thing, but it's almost like an exemption. Like you're trying to find ways in which this person here doesn't have to pay this rate. So it's
Oh,
those
okay.
are like how you're going
Okay.
about doing it. So if you have something like a homestead exemption, it's like, oh, does this person qualify for this thing so they don't have to pay this rate on property taxes? That's
Okay.
kind of how that goes. And so that's why I always say things like that are band-aids. It's like we have a gaping wound and you're putting a you're putting your band-aid on there. And it's like, yes, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just, hey, listen, the thing that created the gaping wound are the things that I just listed earlier. I'm not saying don't put the band-aids on them. I'm all for that. I want those things to pass because they're good. But again, these are short-term solutions that are helpful and I will advocate for and be proponents of and will sign my name on. But we cannot ever forget how we got here because that is how we get ourselves out of this for the long term.
And she also wants to know, how about not charging over the income level in that area?
Yes, yes. So that's one of the things that's like I believe is going to be fairly difficult because I don't think it's going to be as difficult as we believe it to be, but it also goes along with how I believe our livable wage should be calculated. So if anybody who is familiar with it, you can go check out like the MIT living wage calculator. And that is actually a tool that is used, for from university to university by massive amounts of entities to calculate what is the actual livable wage according to your area that you live in, your region, your
Mm-hmm.
state, and how many children you have, things of that nature. And it kind of factors all of those things in. And the last time I checked, I think that the livable wage here was like almost $30 an hour in order to be able to pay for all of your expenses. That is what I consider a livable wage. Can you pay for all of your bills and your expenses, whether it be childcare, healthcare, any of those things, your insurance, and still like be at either net zero or have a little bit left over to eat? You know what I mean? Like these are things that are included in that. So,
And remind the people what Ohio's minimum wage is.
our minimum wage is like $7, I think, or
No, it's a
or
little bit more than that. It's
is it more than
10.
that? I remember. I think it
It's
went up to
about 10
Oh,
something
we did bring it
dollars.
up to
So
10. I remember Representative Gerald's. He made a thing about it going up to 10 because he wanted it to go up to 15. So yeah,
So
so
if you think
we're
30
up
is
to
the
10,
livable
but
wage,
yeah,
and I read somewhere that you need to make at least $21 an hour to
mhm,
afford rent, just rent in
yes,
Ohio,
yes,
and the minimum is $10 and some change.
yeah,
What are people having to do to survive?
yeah,
What do you think they're having to do? They're having to work two
yes.
jobs, three
Multiple jobs,
jobs,
multiple jobs.
multiple jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So you
Yeah.
can never say that these things are like, oh, it's a good indicator because lots of jobs, we have lots of jobs coming. It's like, no, if you really think about it, one, what are the quality of these jobs? And two, most of the people that even I know in my personal life have multiple jobs. So this isn't, we're not talking like this is a good
Yeah.
thing here, you know?
Especially the younger people. Like there are
Yeah.
a lot of younger people on this project with us on our vote counts, and
Hmm.
they've got some of them got at least two jobs, at least two. One of our moderator hosts has three jobs,
Oh,
and he still comes and he helps us out, and he does a very good job. But it's like you should not have to work three jobs to make it
yeah.
in the United States. And now we have this governor's race with one candidate who is on the red side, who says, I'm going to bring back coal jobs and I'm going to bring back factory jobs.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, who wants to work in a factory? Who wants to work in a coal mine?
Yeah.
Would you like to work in a coal mine, Daquan? I don't think so.
I think I'll
I don't think
pass,
so.
sounds rewarding though. Sounds rewarding, like,
Yes, it's
uh,
like why don't you want to bring tech jobs, engineering jobs,
yeah.
clean energy jobs? They constantly want to trap us in this cycle of you graduate high school, you go into a factory, you
Yeah.
graduate high school, you go
Yeah.
into an unskilled job, and you
Hmm.
do that for the rest of your life. Apparently, now we're supposed to work until we're 75 years old,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you can't do that work until you're 75. You
Yes.
can't. I'm a disability lawyer. You can't do it. Most people crap out in their 40s,
Yeah.
And so we need to be providing something else. What do you think is the next big industry that would save the Ohio economy?
Ooh. I want to say that I think that there is a great place for tech here. It's just about
Hmm.
what do we mean by tech? My little brother, he got his certification in IT. And I love watching this next generation come up and they're teaching me how to do different stuff on the computer. And I mean, him and his little friends, they have a little like they talk computers and it's like listening to Star Trek. And I'm just like, it blows my mind because it's just so normal for them. And so I'm just like, I know that there's a future in tech. It's just about what we do about it, right? There's a difference between making sure that these kids know how to take apart computers and put them back together versus bringing AI data centers here that are going to hire
Right.
10 people and consume a bunch of water and raise our electric rates. You know what I mean? So, but the problem is that a lot of people will put tech together and they will combine those two as if they're the same thing and they're not. So I do believe there's actually a very bright future when it comes to technical education in the state of Ohio. But I think that Ohio is actually so unique because we're one of the few states that has multiple different layers of what you can get a trade in, what you can get a certification in, what you can go get your future in. You know what I mean? You go up
Right.
to Lake Erie and you have environmental jobs where, one of the H2O programs in Ohio, they were hiring because your job was to make sure that we were not polluting Lake Erie. Then you can go to Akron and they have lots of different factories up there that pay very well and build cars. And then you can go down into, Fayette and Madison County and there's agricultural industry down there. And you
Correct.
can come down to anywhere else and you have tech opportunities there. So Ohio is such a unique, place where you have so many opportunities here that I don't think that there's one specific future that I would say that we have. I think that we have an opportunity to take advantage of our unique place of having futures all over the map.
Okay, yeah, I like that. My son goes to Tiffin, and out there is like huge solar energy farms, which is remarkable for that area. But the
Hmm.
one thing that people don't want, they don't want the wind turbines. They don't want them. There's a proposal for a wind turbine project, but they don't want it. I think they're hearing that they should be pushing back on clean energy. And so that's what they're doing. They don't understand the amount of revenue that
Yes.
is generated from these projects and the amount of energy.
Hmm.
Our energy prices, we've always had a pretty reasonable energy rate. Those are going up.
Hmm.
It doesn't make any sense that people are paying $200, $300 a month and maybe they live alone or maybe they don't turn the lights and the heat on.
Right, right.
It, it's
I'm
it's
one of
it's
those
crazy.
people. I'm like, I left my heat on so much. I'll be shaking. I'm throwing on my onesie. Like, oh no, I'm good. I'm gonna keep it off. I don't need it.
Yeah, because the cost is like it's
Yes.
ridiculous. And then when you hear about the corruption from the people running these companies, and
Yes.
yet the consumers are being charged ridiculous amounts of money. Where's the relief for the consumer, Daquan? Where is it?
Gosh. And it's so difficult because this is one of the things that there's a frightening element to this because so much of this feels like it. I feel okay. So if I can be vulnerable with you and the rest of the audience,
Yeah,
a
go
lot of
ahead.
the times while I'm doing this, I feel alone. And it's because my experience has shown me that I'm going up against the machine, and
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's all consuming, and it wants you to believe it's all powerful, and it's very imposing, and it wants you to feel hopeless. It wants you to feel helpless, and so it's
And
difficult.
exhausted.
It's so yeah, and it's so difficult
Yeah.
because it's just like, I ask myself all the time, like, well, what can little old me do? If I'm going in here and I'm saying, hey, we need a livable wage, we need affordable education. It's just like, well, how can you actually make that happen if you going in there and it's just you by yourself and there's 99 reps? What can you really? So it's really difficult when I'm confronted with questions like that because I have to be confronted with the fact that there's times where I have to be honest and say, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pass a certain thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to succeed in the thing that I'm fighting for. Doesn't mean I'm not going to fight for it. Do I know that I'm going to be able to get these people the relief that they need? I don't know. That was one of the difficult things about, probably the most difficult thing about my job as a staffer in the house, was being confronted when somebody needed help and I couldn't help them. When somebody told me that their lights were about to get cut off, and I'm calling every entity that I know. I'm
Right.
calling their homeowners. I'm calling every organization. Can they get them some help? And I've exhausted all my options the same way they've exhausted all theirs. And I got to get that call where they're saying, I what do I do? I got to go to this shelter, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm limited in my abilities as a staffer to help you, and so there's times where I'm confronted with that same feeling of saying like, I don't know, I really don't know where our relief comes from. I'm going to fight for it. That's the best that I can say is like, when it comes to trying to get these people relief, I can give them the relief and knowing that there's actually people out here talking some sense. I can actually give them relief knowing that there's going to be people in there actually advocating for them, that there's going to be somebody that's actually transparent and saying, hey, I put this bill forward trying to propose a 4-day work week for you guys. And this legislator, they all voted no against it. Can you go ahead and let them know that you dislike that? And when the next election comes up, let's see if we can get these guys out of here. Even if that means it
Right.
requires you running for office, let's try to do some stuff. That's where I'm at, and so I appreciate the question, but I think that that's one of those moments where I have to say I don't know. I
And
don't
that's
know.
okay. That's okay. That's fine. That's better than making up an answer. I
Mhm.
appreciate you saying that you don't know, or that it's complex,
Yeah.
because it is. It would require you to work, or at least try to get people from the other side
Yes.
and to work with you. And we know in Ohio that is really difficult.
So
They
difficult. So
they
difficult.
are. I don't even know how to describe it. That even if the house is on fire, they won't leave.
Yeah.
They will not leave. And I don't know if you want to, like me personally, I wouldn't want to work with somebody who like but if you're a
Yeah.
politician,
Yeah.
that's what you have to do. If you work in politics, that's what you have to do. But the scenario that you described, that should be the actual work of a representative,
Yeah.
right? I work for the government and I look at letters all the time from senators and from representatives appealing for their constituents for this or that thing. And I'm like, yes, this is what you should be doing. This right here.
Yeah.
And I don't see enough of that lately. I
Yeah.
don't see enough of them doing that kind of work, because a lot of them are kind of mired in these culture wars and a lot of things that have nothing to do with our day to day lives. You're
Mhm.
someone who could affect someone's day to day life when you get this job.
Yeah.
And that's important. That's
Yeah.
really important. And people need to
Yes.
know that. They need to know that what the function of a representative would be,
Yes.
right? Every level of government, federal, state, local, they have a lever that they have to pull.
Hmm.
Your lever is the state lever, getting the law and the money to the people at the local
Hmm.
level.
Hmm.
So when you're out there talking to people, because I know you're out there
Yeah.
talking to
Yeah.
people,
I just got back. I
what?
just got back from a school earlier today. So, like I said, educator at heart, it's my passion. So I'm definitely out here as much as I can be.
So what are people, what's at the top of mind for a lot of people? I know it's affordability, but what specifically about the affordability crisis are people concerned about that they want you to do something about?
So, the most interesting part about this is that when I'm going and I'm knocking on the doors of these people, just as much as I'm hearing affordability, I'm hearing so many people saying, "Can you get these crazy people out of there?" That's like it's actually crazy because it's like I'm repeating the line in my head that I hear because I'm just like they're like, can you do something about this craziness? And I'm just like, the craziness going on in Washington, not so much. I can still call it out, but when it comes to here in the state, just know they trying to mimic that real good. They're trying to
Yeah,
bring that
they
nonsense
really
here.
are.
And
They are. They're trying to bring it here, and a lot of us are fighting back.
yes,
But it seems like there are certain parts of the country where people are just like, yes, I want that craziness. I want that overreaching government. I want that big government. And it's
yeah,
like, no, you don't.
yeah,
You really don't. You don't want
that's
the government in every aspect of your life.
no. our
You
our
don't.
biggest challenge here, this is something I try to tell not only to every candidate, is that for any of you guys who aren't familiar, I recommend that you guys just do a little bit of digging. You guys are engaged, so go check out, your board of elections. They have a lot of data on voting, and so I tell every candidate, go look at your voter data, not just the blue or the red. Look at the gray. There is a immense for my district. I can just break down, like, there's about 42,000 Democratic voters that we have record of. It's about 50,000 Republican voters. So it's my district is like 60-40 if you look at it from that way. There are over 120,000 unaffiliated registered voters in my district.
Woo.
That's where we're at. But what we have right now is, like you said earlier, we have, in my experience, we have a Democratic Party that is only ready to talk to those 41,000 constituents. And they're wondering, well, how can we try to get some of those Republicans to come to our side? Well, you don't even know how to talk to the blue. So you worried about
Exactly.
you don't even know how to talk to us. You can't keep us excited. You can't keep us energized. I wouldn't be feeling the need to do this so much if I felt like I had people that I could trust and believe in to take the reins and stop a lot of this craziness that we're bearing witness to. It's hurting people. And so I say all the time, acknowledge that 120,000. That is our biggest issue in Ohio, is that we have an entire demographic that makes up a huge chunk, at least 50%, if not more, of people who are either not engaged or feel disillusioned or disheartened or disappointed or discouraged, to the point that they aren't interacting or engaging civically or voting as they should. If we can engage people the way that we need to, we won't have to worry about no gerrymandered map. We really won't,
Right.
because there will be enough people who are out here engaged and aware that are like, oh yeah, nah, we're not worried about none of that. Let's go and let's vote for the best candidate. But you have to bring them ideas that make them feel like there's some hope in this world. You have to bring them ideas that make them feel like they can, oh yeah, that actually does impact me. I'm working all the time. I would love to have an extra day off. Even if I got to work a couple extra hours here and there, shoot, an extra day off, heck yeah. And I've brought that
Yes.
idea door to door, and people are like, oh my gosh, yes, why don't we already have that? Well, that's a good question. Let's start working on that. So I just think that when it comes to, like, what we're talking about, when it comes to engaging the voters, acknowledge people, candidates, elected officials who are already in office, engage voters, recognize that there are so many people who feel for some reason or another that either their vote doesn't count or that their leaders aren't listening, and I cannot blame them for that.
And there's a lot of things going on right now in the state of Ohio that Democrats rather are responsible for, right? A lot of good things that are happening
Yeah.
with the removal of lead pipes in all of the homes. That's
Shout out to
because of
Representative
President
Brown.
Biden.
Yeah.
It would help Democrats, I think, if we talked about our accomplishments more,
Yes,
and
please.
how at least progressive ideas would improve upon that and carry those accomplishments into the future.
Right.
Everybody talks about a blue wave. Oh, it's going to be a blue wave, a blue wave. Okay, but what happens to waves? They eventually quell, right? They eventually
Right.
calm
Right.
down,
Yes.
and then you have to wait for another wave. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be that way. These
Yes.
these ideas and things that we come up with should be sustainable, so
Yes.
that people aren't, so that there are less people in that gray area,
Yes.
right? So people know exactly, oh, I'm going with them because they got me, like you said, the 4-day work week. And that has been a big help for me for daycare, I'm able to spend more time with my kids. I feel more relaxed. I'm healthier, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Benefit is
So,
on.
okay, you have mentioned using waivers under the state-based Universal Healthcare Act. What specific waivers would Ohio need, and what happens if the federal government denies them?
Yeah, that's that's a really it's one of those things, like, so I believe, if I recall correctly, it was Representative Rokana, and
Yeah.
he introduced legislation similar to this, where it's really just sort of a general waiver, and it's based off the legislation once it's created. So once the legislation is actually created, it would actually get its formal name, and then you will put those waivers forward, And those waivers would basically just say, hey, this is what we're requiring for funding when it comes to this universal health care program. So we would use state funded tax dollars, but also federal funded tax dollars. We would combine those pools, and that's the funding we would use in order to provide a universal standard healthcare option in the state of Ohio. And so the problem is that if the federal government does, which under this administration would be very likely, reject those, it would honestly, it would come back to us to either figure out where that funding would come from, or it would delay our ability to try to get something passed. Because for something that on that scale, we need the cooperation of the federal government, not only to help us, get something like that started, but also to demonstrate how helpful it would be to Ohioans.
Hmm.
It would let it be a case study for all anyone else cares. Show the improvements in maternal health, show the improvements in infant mortality, show that it would reverse the effects that you've seen over the last 15 years under Republican leadership. So what that legislation actually looks like, those waivers would actually become their own entity upon creation of the actual bill itself. That's how it would be birthed.
So let's talk about this because under the big, beautiful, busted can of biscuits, Ohio is seeing some decline in Medicaid funding and SNAP funding, and there will be these requirements added to SNAP recipients that they work a certain amount of, which Ohio has already had that.
Yeah.
But there will be fewer people who qualify for SNAP and fewer people who will qualify for Medicaid, which in the state of Ohio is a big deal,
Mhm.
where a large percentage of people living in the state do rely on public benefits to get by
Mhm.
and to pay for their health care. What do you see that the state legislature needs to do? Because obviously these are executive level decisions, who gets to have what. But what do you think the state legislature can do to ameliorate this?
So I think that we'll go back to this as many times, because I think that we need to understand just how beneficial it would be if we tax the rich. If we tax the wealthiest earners in Ohio, let me give you some numbers. So the flat tax rate that we just passed, that cost us $1 billion in tax revenue. It cost
Mm.
us money to pass that bill. If we passed a progressive marginal tax rate in the state of Ohio, it would raise anywhere from 2.5 to $4.5 billion in tax revenue. And so when we think about what we could do with those funds, while our Head Start program is operating off of critical funding after the federal cuts, you know, when we're thinking about how much good we can put into our communities, it's like, yeah, it would almost be like a lot of the things, the solutions to our problems, we could tie back to that, because we would then have the revenue to pay for certain programs. We could actually expand our social programs. We wouldn't have to worry about restoring them to a certain way. You can expand these programs, so part of this is going in and trying to make sure that we can remove things like those extra restrictions that they put in place. But again, you cannot do that by yourself,
Right.
so you go in and you advocate for these restrictions to be removed, but again, you go in there, you say, if I have enough backing, if I have enough legislative power behind me, we can actually get these barriers removed for people. So then that expands who can get access to things like SNAP. But then if you actually tax people according to how we should, according to their actual tax bracket, and don't let them get those cuts that they've been getting over the last 3-4 years, then that revenue, that tax revenue, actually goes towards funding those programs that help to lift people out of poverty. I hate this myth that people who use government programs are somehow dependent on them and they just stay in them for life. A lot of these people, I know so many stories of people who are like, I was once on this welfare program. I was once
Yeah.
on SNAP. My mother is one of them, you know? And
Me
so,
too. I was once on
yeah,
Medicaid and WIC.
right.
Absolutely.
So many people, I guarantee that there are more people who know people who have been lifted out of impoverished circumstances or struggling circumstances from social programs than people who have just forever relied on them and depended on them. So it's just one, we have to defeat that narrative. We have to defeat those narratives because we have people out here advocating for things that are actively harmful to them and don't operate in their best interests. So once you get the public on board and making them recognize, educating them on what these things do, but then you have to go in and say, this is what I'm going to change. I'm going to remove these barriers, and then we're going to tax these people according to how much they should be taxed. You use that tax revenue to not only restore these programs, but to expand those programs.
So let's talk about vouchers.
Oh boy.
Now, every candidate we've had on here who is running for either federal or state office has had to talk about some aspect of education funding. We know higher education is ridiculous. But this voucher thing doesn't seem to be working in any of the states of candidates we've talked to. It's not working in Iowa. It's not working in Texas. It's not working in Kentucky. And there's a certain person who is running for governor of Ohio who thinks we need to expand the voucher program. If it's already not working, why would we expand it? Why do they think it's working? What are we doing, Daquan? What are we doing? And what can you do differently, please?
Yeah, this is another one of those things where it simply comes to being, hey, I'm going to be one of the voices that says, we're not doing this. That like, let's go ahead. One, we're going to remove this. We're going to remove this voucher program, and then we're going to restore the fair school funding formula that says this is how much we need to fund our public schools. So I would be one of the additional voices that says we're going to go ahead and we're going to take care of that. Again, we go back to the same problem of having a super minority of voices like mine, but you know, progressive change is progressive change. You have to get more voices in there that say we're not going to be expanding this stuff. And what are we doing? I mean, it's actually working as intended. You know, when you think about it from their perspective.
When you think about it,
who was this
right.
meant to benefit? It was meant to be a reimbursement for wealthy people, for people who were sending their children to private school. This wasn't meant for somebody who was, you know, a single mom who wanted to send her kid to private school and she now gets, no, this wasn't meant for that. This wasn't meant for them. You know, this was meant for people to say, oh my gosh, private school is very expensive. Thank you for giving me this $1,400 check. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my pocket. Now I get to reimburse myself. And so we're now taking funding away from the kids who need it most. And we're using taxpayer funds to send that money there. We're also spending taxpayer dollars to bus these kids to the private school. So we already started to expand it, you know, and so again, it's working by design. It is a reimbursement. It's another way for this legislature to continue to put money in the pockets of people who don't need it, who actually need it the least, while taking it from people who need it the most. It's working by design. But again, the main thing I would do, this is back to, you know, when it comes to being a state rep, one of the biggest things that you do is advocacy. That's you use your voice and your platform to stand on business about something. You know, I'm not going to be no fence sitter about, well, you know, there could be some. No, I'm unapologetically progressive. I'm unapologetically me. I'm going in there. I'm saying this is hey, I don't play that. You won't get that from me, you know. And so that would be where I really stay 10 toes down on who I am as a progressive and what I stand on.
And you know, I'm not familiar with the area you live in, but I'm from East Cleveland. I live in Shaker Heights. East Cleveland is one of the longest suffering public school systems in the state. And, you know, they recently got off of probation or whatever they call it, but there's no investment in the school system from the state. And everyone goes, well, what about the lottery? What about the lottery? Well, you know, they don't use the lottery to offset school funding. They use it so that they don't have to put as much money into school funding as people think they should, right? So they're just swapping it out, swapping in, swapping out.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
And when you're living in an area, a lot of the areas around here have mostly public schools, and you're not seeing the investment from the state. Well, okay, the public schools are not being invested in. Higher education cost a grip. I'm leaving Ohio. I'm leaving. Bye. See you later. See you later. So, and you're young and you're progressive And I think more voices like yours are needed in this state, but we're not attracting people because
Mhm.
our policies are insane.
Yeah.
They're insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that we have that one very nice reproductive law in our Constitution.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Thanks
I
to
mean,
us, thanks to the
yes,
people. You know what I
thanks
mean? The
to the
people did that.
people.
That wasn't them. That was the people that got together and said we about
Yes,
to, so that
we had
had
to fight them
people did
telling
that.
us we couldn't change the Constitution, and then we had to change the
Yeah.
Constitution.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but I love your progressive voice, and I really do believe you will go in there and be 10 toes down. I really do.
Appreciate it.
Uh, so when you say things like protect and expand services like Head Start, which is operating on emergency funds and facing closure, putting tens of thousands of children at risk, what specific changes are you proposing at the state level versus the federal level? And we
Yeah.
saw recently a certain person say that the federal government shouldn't pay for daycare
Yeah.
and that the state should do it and they should raise people's taxes to pay for it.
Yeah. And you know what? Bet that then. Because we, for us as a state, we need to hear stuff like that and
Hmm.
just say, you know what, that disgusts me. And I'm like, it's crazy because I'm like, I have people who consider themselves on the other side of the aisle who are pro-life, but yet they oppose me when it comes to making sure every school child has a free school lunch and making sure that we like these are things that boggle my mind because I'm just like, you say one thing, but when I bring something to you that we should be able to connect on, it's either crickets or it's like, well, I shouldn't have to pay for that. What are you talking about? These are kids we're talking about. So when it comes to these kids, that's one of the things I like. I don't have children, but I mean, I've got my nieces, I've got my nephews, and my godson. I'm like, my whole family is babies, and so I just think all the time like I don't have to have kids to just value them and know not only are they the future, but we have an obligation as adults to do everything within our power to make sure they are okay. So if the
Hmm.
state has to pick up some slack where those funds get cut, we need to figure out what we need to do that, And so when we go back to those tax cuts that we gave, when we take those tax cuts and we reverse the damage that was done there, we put in a progressive tax system, we use those tax dollars to fund those programs like Head Start. These are priorities that we should already have because right now, the reason why our property taxes are so high is because we continue to cut those taxes and that tax revenue has to come from somewhere. So who is it going to
Yeah.
come from? The homeowners. Because if we do like what they're trying to do, which is abolish property taxes, our schools are going to close because that money has to come from somewhere. So what they're doing is they're offsetting, like you said, they're passing the buck. Oh, I don't want to have to pay it, so you got to pay it. The middle class is getting squeezed. They're getting squeezed out of existence, and so when you just think about where we're at and how we continue to exacerbate these issues, if we have a way to exacerbate these issues, we have a way in which we can remedy them. So that plan just follows undoing the damage. We undo those 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We undo that flat tax rate. Then, in order to flip ourselves on the other side of the pendulum, we say, I am now going to, instead of undoing this, I'm going to implement a progressive tax system to where now we went back to the funding we had. We can restore fair school funding. Then we implement the progressive tax system, and now we have a surplus of tax revenue that we have not seen in 20 years in the state of Ohio. You know what I mean? So I think that when we're thinking about like how these kids are going to be impacted, these should be our universal calls to action to say, you Republican legislators are supposed to be pro-life and you're hurting our kids. You Republican legislators are claiming that you're doing this for the betterment of the common man and the regular working class, and yet you have done nothing to make sure that we are better off. The only thing you do is you try to focus on if a person is not like you, they don't look like you or don't talk like you or not from where you're from. You know, people have to hold them accountable, and if we're actually able to like get them, maybe we don't get them to comply with us, but the public holds the key to that power. They say, you're not rolling with this, you don't care about our kids like that, get out. Get out. Get them out of there. So I want to be an advocate for things like that, but we have a means in which we can help these kids. And I don't play about my students. I don't care. I don't play about these babies. Like, if I don't do nothing else, I'm being here fighting for these kids.
I love that. I love that answer. Well, Daquan, there's a new girl in town, and her name is AI Data Centers.
Ooh-wee. Yeah.
And a certain person who's running for governor of Ohio wants to bring more of them into Ohio. And apparently, there's one being built that's going to be one of the largest in the world in the state of Ohio. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's only going to bring a few jobs. Like literally, on one hand, you can count how many jobs will be brought to the area that it's going to be in. Why are we doing this? And should the state be regulating the building of these things more? Because think about it. All of this is booming. This is booming. This is booming.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come to a point where it's going to have to crash, right?
Yes.
And some of these places are going to be left empty.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do with them when one of the largest is in the state of Ohio and it's sitting empty?
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you
So
think the state legislature can do about this? What's your proposal to, I don't know, stop the building of them or regulate them more or
yeah.
make them pay more?
Yeah.
What's your idea?
So when I was working in the state house, I believe we had a bill that came up, and I don't even remember if it made it out of committee or not. But basically, the bill we had two sides of the same bill. One bill was saying we want to regulate AI usage in the state of Ohio, like we wanted to just regulate AI as an industry in the state of Ohio. And the other side of that bill was saying we want the state government to not be able to regulate AI as far as an industry for 10 years. Like they wanted to make it to where from this point that this bill passes for 10 years, the state legislature cannot regulate the industry of AI. And so again, we go back to the priorities because what a lot of this legislature sees is they see a paycheck, they see a payday. Doesn't matter if it's short term. It doesn't matter if it's
Mm-hmm.
temporary because that's the part of not knowing where AI goes and how it, how it will be as an industry. We've seen the environmental effects, but we haven't seen the environmental effects long term, but we have seen
That's
what
true.
AI data centers have done so far, not just in this state, but across the country. And so when you go in there and you point one, you have to, again, it goes back to educating the public on the dangers of AI so that people will be aware saying, hey, your state legislature is saying we want to bring this huge AI data center here that's going to employ anywhere like maybe a dozen people tops. And it's going to raise
Mm-hmm.
your electric bills and it's going to consume millions of gallons of water across the state. So it's going to damage our environment. It's going to damage our ecosystems and it's going to raise your electric bills and it's not going to employ anybody. And the only thing it's going to really do is make rich people richer. Tell me, how does this benefit you as a regular person? And so that's where we have to be. Again, this revolves around the Democratic Party and our inability to communicate these issues effectively, because there are people who support AI data centers bringing here because they think it'll bring jobs. They'll think it'll bring attention. They think it'll bring business, but again, bringing business, all business ain't good.
No, it's not. And I love these fireworks that are going off. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
You get me
Well,
hyped
one
up
of
when you
the
start shaking my
right.
camera.
One of the things people complain about is the noise. They
Yeah.
are noisy. It
Yeah.
sometimes goes from a low hum to
Yes.
kind of like a higher. It sounds like someone is running an engine,
Yeah.
and
Noise
it's
pollution.
24 hours a day, 7 days a
Yeah.
week. And at first, I mean, I live in the city. That noise is always around. But if you're living in a rural area that's quiet, and then all of a sudden you hear this low hum all day, you're going to think you're going crazy.
Yes.
And so
Again,
maybe then you'll think twice about, do I really want this?
yeah. And the sucky part about it is because bringing the data centers here, we have now invested that money. That money's already invested.
It's
So
already
say
invested. Yeah.
AI, it crashes. Say the industry crashes. Well, we've already invested millions, if not billions of dollars in this industry. And what we're left with are abandoned plants, abandoned data centers, And so what you can't really recoup those losses.
No, you can't.
You would have a state legislature that would now turn their attention. They would find a way to somehow blame Democrats. Then they would turn their attention and say, well, let's look for the next big thing, the next big industry. But again, that type of thinking to me gets you nowhere as an Ohioan because we have several industries in Ohio that can boom if you invest in them. but what we have is a legislature that is prioritizing what this next big payday is. It's like a bunch of crypto bros looking at how they can try to, get a quick rug pull going. That's what it feels like to me. You're just like, hey, we
That's a
can make
good
some quick money.
comparison. That is a good
You know,
metaphor.
so
Yes.
I think that that's just where we're at, and I think that people are starting to see it. Um, and I think that it also touches on the next issue of feeling like they don't have enough candidates that they resonate with. So you feel fired up. You're like, I'm going to vote. I'm angry. And then you go and you see your candidates, and it's two Republicans who stand for the exact same thing. And that's like, wait, this is what I have to vote for in District 34? Like, what's going on? Like, what am I supposed to do? And that's kind of where I ended up at, because I looked at my district and I said, ooh, this is what we got going on. You got Phil Plummer, and then you got, Mark Campbell, and then me. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's
and
why primaries are very important.
yeah,
And I know, early voting has started in Ohio. It started on Tuesday.
yes,
And Ohio is one of those states that's very generous with voting. You got absentee, you got in
yeah,
person early, and then
yeah,
you got the day of, and you got like a few weeks now,
yeah,
almost a month. It's
yeah.
it's it's
They're
very
attacking it,
generous.
but use it while we
There,
have it, y'all.
yes, use it while you have it. So, how are you, Daquan, getting people to the polls? It's
Hmm.
hard for the primaries in Ohio, notoriously underattended.
Hmm.
How are you getting people to the polls? Not just saying, "Hey, go vote."
Yeah.
Is there anything special that you're doing to get people to show up to the primaries to get
Um,
you at least on the November ballot? Please
yeah,
get into the
yeah.
finish line, y'all.
So the main thing that I think that I've been doing, and this is something that I want to make sure that I continue to emphasize, is that I don't think that there's anything that I have to do that's all that special. And what I mean by that is there's things that are like fundamental to me. When I'm telling you my policy positions, that's not special to me. I'm not doing anything crazy, but it's getting people
Listen,
excited. It's getting people fired up. They're like, wait, we got somebody out here who's, you say that one more time. Say 4-day work week one more time. And so it's like, that's what I'm doing. So I tell people what my platform is. I tell them who I am. I tell them what I'm passionate about and what I'm doing. I tell them about my programs. I tell them about, hey, if you got a school and you have some students who want to know how to fill out a voter registration form, I want to make sure every student who graduates in the state of Ohio not only knows how to fill out a voter registration form, but if it had it my way, I would make it to where they're automatically registered to vote upon graduation. You know, Knowing that there's somebody there who feels the way that I feel and advocates for what I advocate for, things that are overwhelmingly popular, that I think gets them to the polls. And so my job as a state candidate is to go to them. So every single weekend for the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and for the next 4 weeks, I'm going door to door. I'm knocking on people's doors, introducing myself, telling them who I am, not only reminding them and emphasizing their importance of to vote, but letting them know that they have a candidate that they can feel excited to vote for a change.
okay, and you do have some unique ideas, that I watched a video where you talked about reimbursing people who commute to work. Can you
Yes.
tell us about that?
Yeah, yeah. So that is, a policy of mine where I was thinking about, my brother does work, and he's sort of like contracted, and he gets paid for travel. And so this connected with the return from home policies that DeWine kind of hammered home when a lot of our people who were working from home had to come back to work.
Yeah.
I was kind of doing some digging and researching about all of the benefits that working from home provided for a lot of these people, and whether it be environmental benefits, whether it's less carbon emissions. But then you could talk about the personal benefits. These people were spending less on travel, which meant they were spending less on gas. They were spending less on takeout. They were spending less on childcare. Their mental health improved because they were at home in the comfort of their own home more. They spent less money overall. And so I was thinking about that, and I was just like, man, what way, if we want them to come back to work, if we're forcing them to come back to work, and we're already having them working more than they should be, and we're not paying them what they should be, people are more than 200 times more productive than they've been over the last 40 years, and yet their wages have not gone up to reflect that. The only wage that has gone up is the wage of CEOs. That's the only wage that has
Right.
increased over the last 20, 30, 40 years. And so a way that you can help people feel incentivized to come into work, especially in my area of Dayton, because Dayton is a commuting area. It's a travel area. A lot of people don't want to live here, but they don't mind driving here to work. I want to make them feel incentivized to want to come to my community to work, to build my communities up, to collaborate and cooperate with my community, and to feel like they have something here that is worth coming down to Dayton for. And part of that is reimbursing them, or just making it a policy to where their travel for work, which you already have their address on file, add that into their paycheck. They're saying that from the time that they get here by here, that's part of their pay. They are paid by the time they leave their house. They are dedicating that time to their place of employment. That is not their time anymore. It is the time they're giving to you. So if they're spending extra time out of their day to commute for an hour and sitting in traffic to get to you, how dare us not pay these people for the time that they're investing and taking out of their lives to come and make you richer. I bet I won't. I bet I will not stand and allow people to continue to use their lives, spend time away from their kids to come and make you richer. And you say, oh yeah, that's on them. They got to pay their car insurance. They got to put gas in their car. They got to maintain their car. The money that you pay them for travel would probably be reimbursed to use to keep the car running and to keep it maintained and keep it fueled up. So how dare us? How dare us not do stuff like that?
How dare they invest in their employees, Daquan? Why would you make them do that?
Yeah, how dare we actually care about the, mental and physical well-being of our employees? Like, it's craziness.
So, Daquan, we have 15 minutes left, right?
Yes.
And voters often say they feel disconnected from their representatives. How will you keep yourself accountable to the people in your district, and what commitments can you make today about transparency, accessibility, and regular communication with your constituents?
I love that question, because that's actually one of my most favorite things about what I do now, and what I did as a legislative aide. One of the things about being a legislative aide is that you were very stifled on what you could and couldn't say, because they were always worried about what your actions would do to reflect on the House leadership or your member that you were working for at the time. But as a rep, as a member, I don't have to worry about none of those things anymore, because I'm a reflection of myself. And so when it comes to being, a part of that, it's so easy, because I just have to be present. It's not difficult for representatives to be present in your communities, to attend events, to pull up to their schools, to show up at things that matter to them. We just had a No Kings rally, and I only saw a couple people, recognizable faces, and I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Hey,
so,
it's spring break, Daquan. Come on.
Yeah, I know you wanted to go to Cancun, but I'm gonna go ahead and need you to be down here for a little bit. Your people are looking for you. And so that's actually the easiest part. The easiest part of my job is being an advocate and being representative, being present, because that's my favorite part of what I do, is being a voice. That if I don't do anything else, if I'm not able to pass my policies, if I'm not able to pass substantive reforms, I can at least be a voice that makes you feel like I'm in here still fighting. I don't care if I'm losing. I don't care if we didn't get this passed. I'm still in here, and I'm up here yelling at these people for you, and that's the biggest part of what I want to really do this for, is to make sure that people feel like they have a voice, to make them feel connected. That's why I want to do it. So it's not difficult, in my opinion, because that's my favorite part of this job. And I just think that we as a legislative body need to be held accountable more often. So part of what I do is I have a program that I'm starting called Daquan Students of Ohio. And it is specifically catered towards high school students and college students, and giving them an opportunity to work with an actual candidate. And it'll continue through my administration, and I'll meet with
I
them
like
monthly.
that.
And I'll actually start them. They'll start their own social media page where they post the content, they create the content. It'll be full control by them, and they can come and meet with me. We can talk politics. I can talk to them about their anxieties. We can talk to them about how they get more involved. They can come canvassing with me. And so that's one of the ways. It's like, this is a Students of Ohio program. I don't care where I'm going. If they want to be involved, I want to get them involved. So it'll also be hybrid. They can tune in, virtually. And this is actually something that they can put on their credits. Like I have one of the schools that I went to, Riverscape, Career Tech. They're actually allowing these students to receive credits for their courses by coming
Oh,
out
that's
and working with me.
wonderful.
And so but it's another way that you reflect, like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're here for. And, but I also plan on holding town halls. My goal is to do one monthly. If I'm not able to do it, I'll try to do one like every 6 weeks. But making sure that I'm down in my community, being held accountable for whether that be my failures of things that people feel I could have done better on, or whether that be things that they really just feel happy that I was able to do. Or if it's just something like, hey, I'm nervous about this. Can you tell me what's happening with this bill? I want to be here for that. So part of my actual plan going through, one of my key pillars is representation. And what I mean by that is being present in my community and being held accountable.
So, how do you see yourself working with the other side, or even centrist Democrats? How do you see yourself accomplishing that? Do you think you'll have an easy time or a tough time, or do you think people are poised for change, that they'll just be like, "Yes, that's right, I'm signing on to that bill, absolutely."
I like to think it's the third option. I like to think so. But I think for the most part, I think that for me, there's a way that I always try to approach things. So my first time in the state legislature, I actually worked for a Republican, Senator Michelle Reynolds, because she was the only one who gave me an opportunity to get my foot in the door. And
Hmm.
so, I always remember reflecting and learning and speaking with her because she was pro voucher. And I used to go into her office. She knew I was a progressive. So I used to go into her office and I used to fuss at her. I'm like yelling, like, what are we doing? And she used to sit me down and she used to talk with me, be like, this is why I support this thing, but let me hear your thoughts. And she would hear me out and she'd be like, I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation. Thank you for sharing that with me. And she continued to move in the way she did, but I always appreciated the fact that she was willing to sit down and have a conversation with me. And so I think that my ability to want to go in here, yes, I do want to go yell at you because you deserve it. But also, there's some of you in here who may be willing to sit down and have a conversation with me about things that are objective. You can only disagree with objective facts and objective realities oh so much. So when I'm presenting you saying, hey, our kids are going to benefit if we have this, why are you disagreeing with it again? Well, where are we going to get the money? Oh, we tax these people. Oh, you don't want to do that, they'll leave. No, they won't. They won't. Like, they came here because they were like, we might be able to take advantage of these AI data centers or something like that. Like, no, they're not going nowhere. We're not. They got taxed by 3% more. They'll be fine. They'll live. And if they want to leave, let them. Because my attitude is, if you're that scared of a business being held accountable, it's like saying that if we make businesses pay their employees a livable wage instead of letting our social programs subsidize those companies to pay them below livable wages, because that's exactly what they do. And you say that these businesses are going to leave if we do that. Yeah, no, I mean, to me, there is no such thing as a business that cannot pay its employees a livable wage. You're not a business. You're not a business to me. And so that's kind of the attitude I have, when going in there. And I believe that when I present them with this objective facts, with these objective realities, what you do with that information after that, it will be up to the people to hold you accountable. But I do genuinely believe that there will be enough people in there who feel like, well, he made sense. Like, can you argue with what he just said? He just proved it. There's enough people in there, I believe, who will be willing to hear that message, and they may come on board. I have to remain optimistic of that because we focus so much on the people who are absolute crazies.
So, when you introduce yourself as a progressive candidate, do you feel like people are like, "Oh, here comes the socialist, here comes the communist. Oh my gosh." Or are people like,
Oh man.
"Yeah, let's just listen to him. Let's just hear what he has to say."
It depends on who is hearing that I'm a progressive. When it comes to when it comes to legislators who hear I'm a progressive, they do that. They roll their eyes. They're like, "Oh
Yeah.
God, He's coming in here with this Medicare for all type thing, universal health
They
care.
want us to pay for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to come in with the. I had a Republican voter who was like, they confronted me and they said, "You want to do free this and free that," and I'm like, okay, if you want to call it that, I suppose. If you want to call it free this and free that, I don't mind.
First of
It's
all,
more
there's nothing
affordable.
free in this country. There's
Right,
nothing free.
exactly. Like it's more of a
Somebody's
affordable
paying.
thing. Yes, exactly. So it was more about just making sure we understood that it was like, hey, we're talking affordable thing versus affordable that. But I think that when it comes to people, when I tell people I'm a progressive, they seem to respond totally different. They seem to respond overwhelmingly refreshed. And I think it's because people are absolutely sick of these centrists, and they're sick of the MAGA, they're sick of the far right, they're sick of being told this is just what we're going to do. We don't care how you feel about it. And then when they're told by the far right, this is what we're doing and this is what we're telling you we're going to do, and you have nothing that you can say or do about it. And then you have a centrist saying, well, listen, both sides are bad. Both sides, we need to really come together.
Oh, that
They don't
both
want to come
sides
together
crap.
with you. Some of these
Ay,
guys
ay, ay.
don't want to work with me. They don't want to. And my whole thing is, cool, I don't want to work with you either. If you don't feel like every school child should eat in this state, then I don't want to work with you. Because I want to
Exactly.
work with the person who feels like, yes, maybe they should. I can't believe we haven't done that.
There's only one side that's cutting Medicaid. There's only one
Right.
side that's taking money out of Medicare. There's
Right.
only one side that's cutting Head Start. There's only one side that's requiring you to, that says you can't spend your SNAP on sugary beverages.
Right.
There's only one side that's cutting WIC. There's only one side that's raising the price of higher education and taking diversity, equity, and inclusion and accommodation programs out of higher education and schools. Only one side is doing that.
Right.
So it's not both sides are the same. No, there's
Exactly.
only one side that's making your life more difficult.
Yes. And I think that people are seeing that. And like I said, my experience going door to door has been that's my favorite part about this. I love going door to door. I love canvassing because I hate the idea of like you just kind of having a team. I recognize one person can only hit so many doors. But if I'm able to go out with my team and hit doors and be in my neighborhood, like I'll have a team member who's next door and I'll be at a door and maybe they're not home. And one of my team members will be talking to somebody and here I go jogging to the next door because I want to talk with them too. Like I want to be able to make sure that they know that I'm here, that they see my face and they hear what I have to say. And it just makes me laugh that the people are so different in how they react to not only my progressive message, but just me calling myself a progressive. The people are like, yes, please. Thank you for, are there any more of you guys? And I'm just like, I'm hoping that by me running, we can change that. If
Bring
I'm
more of
able
them
to
out of
do
the
this,
shadows.
yes. If I'm able to do this, I am confident that I will not be alone. I am confident that if it's not in this election, it will be in the next election if we have them, because I don't know what's going to happen. But if we're able to get there in one piece, I am confident that there will be people like me who will see that I was able to do it and they will throw their hats in the ring. And I guarantee you, I'm about that life. I don't care what it looks like. I'm going to be backing them. I'm going to be supporting them. I'm going to be standing with them and making sure that they, at the very least, if they don't have nobody else support, they'll have mine.
I love that. I love that response. I feel like I want to applaud you, Daquan. I don't know why. But apparently it takes a lot of change in the state of, takes a lot of courage rather in the state of Ohio to make big changes for the better. And you have the courage. You have it. It's a shame that you have to have such immense courage to do it. But there are people who are literally trying to drag us back into the 1950s. And I'm not going to stand for it. You're not going to stand for it. I know your mom is in the audience. She's not going to stand for it.
My mom is so fired up. Oh, my goodness. Like
she really is. I love it.
Fired up. I love it. Yes. We need it.
I love it. So let the people know where they can find you and how they can support your campaign, because this ain't free. Running for office is not free. It looks like it would be free and easy, but it's neither.
Yeah. boy, oh boy. So, you guys can find me. Like I said, I'm on TikTok. Daquan Neal, Ohio. I'm on all social media platforms. Instagram. I have all of those. I believe I have all my social media links in my TikTok. Please forgive me if I don't. They limit how much you can put in there.
Yeah.
Daquan underscore Neal on Instagram. Now, all of the things that you guys see on TikTok, if you aren't familiar, please go check out my page. I don't know how many videos. I've been doing this for a while. I have dozens of videos. I want to say dozens. I don't think I've got hundreds yet, but I've got a lot of videos talking
Yes, you
about
do.
politics on a state and national level, educating people. Like I said, my platform is as an educator. I'm an educator first and foremost. So I want to enlighten you guys and let you guys know how you can combat things, whether that means on a small, micro scale, whether it be a discussion you're having with your conservative neighbor, or what you can do in a macro, environment. Whether it be voting, voter registration drives, engaging with the community, attending protests, attending your Democratic clubs, things of that nature, writing your legislators, all of those things. I try to make sure that I educate you as much as I can and also give you a little bit of hope. Like I said, the house is on fire. I got a bucket. I
You
don't
got,
know, hopefully if somebody sees me with a bucket, they might be able to follow and say, he's got a bucket. I might have one too. Go get you a bucket, please, because I can't put this fire out by myself. So you can find me anywhere. You can also check out my website, Daquan Neal, Daquanforstaterep.org.
it's in the graphic. It's very
Yes,
tiny.
yes,
Daquanforstaterep.org, if
yes,
people can see it. And you don't have to
yes,
be in Daquan's district to support him.
absolutely.
Money travels. You can go online,
Yes,
click the little donate button.
yep,
Money helps.
yep.
Spreading the word. A lot of
Yes,
grassroots
please spread the word.
candidates,
Hmm.
name recognition can be an issue for them.
Hmm.
So please just tell people if they live in the district, hey, vote in the primary. Maybe vote for Daquan. I don't know, but please vote. Vote, vote,
Yes,
vote. I
yes.
cannot personally endorse anybody on this TikTok, but you
Right.
might find me on my social media talking about candidates who I just really resonated with and their ideas that I love. So, and Daquan, full disclosure to the people, I know you. Okay, I met you a long time ago. I think I
Yes.
tried to convince you to go to law school. Listen, I'm so glad that you went in a different direction.
I appreciate
But you would be perfect for anything. You're so intelligent. You're
Thank you.
astute. You know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Like, you do not know how refreshing it is to talk to someone who's running for office who actually knows what the office does, what their role would be, and how they can help people, and who has actual policies. I love it. I
Yes.
love it. And I
Yes.
appreciate you being here with us. I
Of
have been
course.
looking forward to this for so long.
I
And
have.
I'm
I have.
so
Yes.
I'm so glad to see you here, and I thank you for joining us. If you're in the audience and you all feel like coming back for another one of these, I know you do. We have another one coming up at 8 o'clock. We have Tamara Taylor at 8 o'clock, who's a candidate for Nevada State Assembly out of District 22. That is Henderson, Nevada. So just like Daquan, she's running for a state office. So you all are going to learn a lot about state politics today, from Ohio all the way to the West Coast, Nevada. We do this every day here. We're here every single day, except for some Saturdays. But we are here all the time, letting the people know who is running for office. We've had several people who are going to be on the November ballot. And so we hope that is you, Daquan. We really are rooting for you. I appreciate you being here. Also, we have a roundtable. What's today? Oh, we have one Sunday. I don't know if you can make it on Sunday, but if you can, we would love to have you. It's a candidates roundtable where candidates who we've spoken to on our TikTok live town halls come and they just kind of shoot ideas around. Oh, I didn't mean to say that word. They share ideas. They
Yes.
share ideas,
Yep.
TikTok. I'm so sorry. They share ideas and they talk about how their campaigns are going and current events. And it's wonderful. We'll send you an invitation if you can make the 12th or the 26th. That'll be just before the May 5th primary. The
Yeah.
May 5th, it's coming up.
It's
It's
coming
coming
up.
up,
It's
you
right around the
guys.
corner. We're getting so close.
We are getting
Yes.
so close. I'm going to early vote tomorrow, actually. It's wonderful. I love that we can do that. But also, if anybody out there in the audience would like to do what I do, talk to a candidate for an hour and a half, 5 days a week. No, I'm kidding. But if you want to do what I do, send us a DM. We need more hands. We have more candidates to have town halls with. We have a lot of, I think primaries are going through September this year. So also you can join our Discord. You can send us a message on social media. We would love to have you all join us and to just talk more about politics and what's going on and how we can affect change. We need to do that. We really do need to work together to affect change. We have some big things coming up and we want to be a part of the good stuff. We want to be a part of the good stuff. So also you can see what we have going on for Friday too. We have two candidates for Friday, one from the U.S. Congress and two from the U.S. Congress, one from Kentucky and one from California. Again, we thank you, Daquan, for joining us. We thank you to the audience for your questions and your participation. It is gladly very much appreciated. Daquan, good luck with your campaign and knocking on those doors. I know how tough it can be out there in them trenches. But
we in these streets out here.
Yeah, in these streets. Yes. I am Ayana, and this is Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity like Daquan, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we are building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. We thank you for joining us. We hope you'll be with us again at 8 p.m. Remember, your vote is your power. Everyone have a great evening.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, shoot me a message. Love you guys.
Yeah.